begin to make if you feel stuck. Now, I know this is a challenge that many of us, if not all of us, have ever faced where you find yourself in a chapter in your life and you feel stuck. You feel as if life is not moving forward. You feel yourself isolated, right? In a position where you're not experiencing any progress. And this can be very difficult, right? Especially if your goal is to level up, right? You're full of ambition, you're full of drive, you want to do something extraordinary with your life, but you feel as if yesterday looks like today, and this year looks like last year. You're not making any progress. Again, I want to talk about a mindset shift that we can make. In fact, not just can, but I believe it's absolutely necessary that we make this mindset shift in order for us to move beyond the feeling of being stuck. Emphasis on the word feeling, right? You feel stuck. But just because you feel something does not mean that's actual reality, right? Just because you're experiencing something internally, that may not be the true representation of what's happening in the life that you are currently living. So begin the conversation. Comment below, family, if you would please. Change within. It's absolutely imperative that we practice changing from within, developing the habit of changing ourselves in order to change the situations that we're experiencing. Because what I've learned from personal experience in my life, working with leaders and helping them level up, right, is that in many cases, we can become anxious to change our situations, but unwilling to change ourselves, right? And you guys hear me talk about on many of these broadcasts that old keys are never going to open up new doors. And this is where many people find themselves trying to gain access to new opportunities and new possibilities, but bringing the same old-fashioned way of thinking and behavior patterns to a new opportunity and wondering why they're not getting any different results. So again, change from within. Real quick story. So my oldest is currently in a transition, right? He's transitioning from pre-K to kindergarten. And this has been an experience, to say the least. Over the past few months, my wife and I have been kind of prepping him for this, introducing the idea that saying, hey, Trip, you're going to be stepping into a new environment, right? You're going to be stepping into a new school, a new building. You're going to have new friends, new teachers, and new educators. And over the past few months, he's kind of been very resistant to this idea, to say the least. Now, over the weekend, right, Friday was his last day at his current school. And it was quite the experience, y'all. Trip had a moment, right? And he's expressing how he doesn't want to change schools. He doesn't want to have to, gain new friends and learn new teachers and their teaching methods and step into a different environment. And he wanted to stay at the same school, like literally, physically. He wanted to stay there, right? And I expressed to him, I said, Trip, listen, you're graduating to the next level, and you have to understand, son, that in order for you to grow, you cannot stay where you are. Now, that's worth repeating, okay? In order for you to grow, you cannot remain in the same space. You cannot remain where you are. And as I thought about that, I said, this really is a human experience that each and every single one of us have faced. Maybe it's not us graduating from pre-K to kindergarten, but many of us are aiming to step into new levels and accomplish greater things in our career and step into new territory with our personal goals and the things that we're working towards. And internally, we don't want to change, right? Internally, we want things to remain the same. We want to be who we are without us making any necessary adjustments, but getting the benefits and the rewards of our next level. And we have to understand, family, like I told Trip, in order for you to grow, in order for you to level up, you cannot remain in the same space. In fact, this is what I've learned. For those of us that feel stuck, let me introduce this idea into the conversation. Maybe it's not that you are stuck. Maybe the truth of the matter is, it's us holding on to things that are no longer serving us. And this is the reason why we're staying put in the same position, the same place, creating the same outcomes, or experiencing the same results. Because we all have thought patterns, we all have behavior patterns that we've grown accustomed to. And in many cases, these thought patterns and these behavior patterns are not serving us. They're no longer serving us. Or in some cases, they were never serving you from Jump Street. And we've grown so accustomed to these thought patterns or these behavior patterns to the point that they become familiar. If you're taking notes, write this down. Just because it's familiar to you doesn't mean it's right for you. I mean, just because it's something that you've grown accustomed to, right, doesn't mean it's something that you need to hold on to. And in order for us to level up, in order for us to move beyond feeling stuck, here's what we must do. We have to be willing to disrupt what is in order for us to evolve into what can be. In other words, you have to be willing to sacrifice who you are now for who you can become. Here's a question that I want us to really ponder on. Like, this is going to be the call to action for this week. I challenge you to reflect on this question. Again, if you're taking notes, write this down. The question that I want you to ask yourself is this: what are you holding on to that you need to release in order for you to get to your next level? Let me say that again. What are you holding on to that you need to release in order for you to get to your next level? Because again, so many of us, if not all of us, we hold on to things. Like we have a grip on things that in many cases don't serve us, right? But the secret to change is to direct all of your energy, all of your attention, and all of your focus and efforts, not on protecting the old, but on building the new. And for so many of us, you've grown so accustomed to things because they become familiar to you, you're protecting them, right? And we have to actively release them in order for us to make it to the next level. Maybe it's a thought habit, right? Maybe it's a thought pattern or a story that you continue to tell yourself, right? Deep down, many of us hold on to this limiting belief that we are not enough. And this is why we can't gain access to new opportunities, because we feel as if we don't deserve them. Or maybe you have a behavior pattern that you've grown so accustomed to that has been holding you back. You have this self-sabotaging habit that every time an opportunity presents itself, because you engage in this particular habit, you're missing out on opportunities and possibilities. Or maybe it's the environment that you've grown up in, right? Or the environment that you've grown so accustomed to, and the peers that you surround yourself with, the people that you converse with, right? And every time you share a big and ambitious goal, they shut it down because you're surrounded by limited thinking people. You're surrounded by people that don't dream outside of the box, right? And because they don't see possibilities, they're always imposing their fears and their doubts and insecurities on your ideas. And you keep surrounding yourself with these people simply because it's familiar to you, right? It's familiar to you. Now, speaking of relationships, right? Relationships can go in many different regards, right? Not just relationships with people, but maybe you have a fitness goal, right? You have this idea of changing your physique. Maybe the doctor has given you a bad report and you want to improve the quality of your health, but you have this relationship with sugar that continues to perpetuate itself. And every time you try to get back in shape, you keep stunning your growth and your progress because you haven't changed your relationship with certain types of foods. Who am I talking to this morning, family? What D1 is really saying in this conversation is we have to be willing to disrupt what is in order for us to experience what can be. Let me put it to us this way. There's a future version of you that will only exist if the present version of you has the courage to boldly step outside of your comfort zone, to enter into new territory. Now, this is the challenge because our mind is wired in a way, family, where we reject what is uncomfortable and unfamiliar, and we protect and fight for what is comfortable and what is familiar. But like I mentioned earlier, just because it's comfortable, just because it's familiar to you, doesn't mean it's right for you. So as we step into this week's opportunities, again, here's the call to action. I want you to really begin to reflect. Take a moment of mindfulness and develop your self-awareness and start identifying, what am I holding on to that I need to release in order for me to get to the next level? What am I fighting to protect, right? That really isn't serving me, that I need to release to experience more, to evolve as a person, to go higher with my goals and my dreams, to become a better professional or a better leader? What do I need to let go of in order for me to take it to the next level? Because that's the truth of the matter. Remember, there's greater work on the inside of you than what's at work on the outside of you. There's nothing that's holding you back. It's just that we are holding on to things that are stunning our growth and our progress. And the moment that you consciously decide to release it, that's when you're going to start accelerating your life. That's when you're going to start propelling to your next level. But here's the task and here's the challenge. You have to have the courage to release it. Because if we're keeping it real, if we're keeping it 100 or 88 above 92, whichever comes first, family, so many of us, we have grown so accustomed to things that do not serve us. Like in so many ways, we have been accommodating things in our life. We've been accommodating relationships. We've been accommodating certain lifestyles. We've been accommodating certain environments that do not serve us, or in some cases, that were never meant to be. They've never served us, but they simply have become comfortable and familiar. You have to have the courage to release it. Step into uncertainty. Step in to unfamiliar. Step in to the unknown. Step in to something that you haven't been familiar with in order for you to experience the new. I say all that to say this. Again, I'll end it with this statement. There's a future version of you that will only exist if the present version of you has the courage to step boldly outside of your comfort zone and claims what your life has to offer, claims what your destiny holds, claims the life that you potentially can live. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be difficult, but we have to be willing to break the habit of being who we are so we can evolve into becoming everything that we were destined to become. Maybe in a later broadcast, I'll go deeper into this, talking about some more practices that we could begin to adopt and integrate into our day-to-day behavior that will help support this growth, help support this change. But nonetheless, right now, my focus and my objective, my call to action for each and every single one of us is to make that moment of reflection, right? Take that time to build awareness around what thought patterns do I need to release? What behavior patterns do I need to release? What relationships do I need to change or let go of? What environments do I need to disconnect from and enter into? What spaces do I need to enter into that's going to help me level up, right? Build awareness around these concepts and these ideas, and then we'll move the ball forward later on in a different broadcast. But if you sit into this stream, I was about to say scope, taking it all the way back to Periscope, y'all. If you've entered into this broadcast and I was unable to give you a shout out, be sure to comment below, family. And if you are new, I welcome you. Hopefully you benefited from today's conversation. Put a number 1 in the chat and then place your first name afterward. Again, number 1 in the chat and then place your first name afterward. Mia says, possessing the courage for growth. I hear you. Gerald is in the building. Great day to you, brother. Hope all is well with you and the fam. Who else we got in here? Chris, my guy, my brother from another mother. I see you for sure. Glad to have you tapped in live. Who else do we have? Mia says, just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right for us. That's something that we have to process, family. We've all been there. We are creatures of habit, right? We are creatures of habit. We've all grown accustomed to certain things that don't necessarily serve us. But again, the way that our mind is wired, our mind is always going to have a tendency to reject what is unfamiliar and to protect what is familiar. The mind is created in a way where its full job, like the main objective, is to keep you safe. It's to keep you safe. And if there's anything unknown, if there's anything uncertain, it rejects it, right? I'm not used to this. I'm not familiar with this. I've grown accustomed to these environments, these tendencies that we have, and we've gotten a certain type of result. It's predictable. Historically, it's kept us safe. So we're going to remain right here. But that doesn't help us, right? And it doesn't serve us well when we're aiming to level up our life, right? Maybe historically, you haven't come from an environment that is conducive to success. Maybe historically, you haven't come from an environment that's conducive to entrepreneurship. Maybe historically, you haven't come from an environment that supports higher education, or whatever your goals are, right? And we have to learn to disrupt those patterns, right? Disrupt those beliefs, disrupt that story that you're telling yourself that may be holding you back in order for you to experience more. That's how we overcome that feeling of being stuck, because again, you're not stuck. You're just holding on to some patterns, whether it's a thought pattern or a behavior pattern that doesn't serve you. We got to be mindful, build our awareness around these things. And once we become aware, family, self-awareness is the first step to self-empowerment. The more aware you become about how you're showing up, the thoughts that are influencing you, the emotions that are driving your decisions and your behavior, now you're placing yourself in the driver's seat where you are empowered and you can take your life whatever direction you aim to go. But it starts with us building that awareness. For sure, break the habit of who you are to become the person you were meant to be. Talk that talk, Gerald. Angel, I see you in the building, present and accounted for. Deep One, glad to have you tapped in live. Rob Lyons, my brother, hope all is well with you. Blessings as well. Miss Valencia, happy Monday, Dr. D. It was great seeing you yesterday. Continue being a blessing to others. Have a great week. You and Amanda and the little ones. Likewise, Miss Valencia. Hope you enjoyed yourself at the event yesterday. Georgiana, and we are in charge of getting unstuck. Talk that talk. And that's the goal. Again, for everybody that may feel stuck. I'm looking at the camera. I'm supposed to be looking here. For everybody that may feel stuck right now, take heed to what we discussed, right? After this broadcast, really process this discussion. Watch the replay and ask yourself that very important question. What is it that I'm holding on to that I need to release in order to get to the next level? What is it that I've grown so accustomed to that I'm protecting that really does not serve me? Be mindful, be aware, and most importantly, have the courage to make the necessary change so you can improve the quality of your life. Now, before we do wrap this thing up, family, if we have yet to connect on other social media platforms, be sure to connect with your boy. At D1 Gibson is my handle pretty much on all platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as YouTube. I'm at youtube.com/David Gibson. And for those that are on LinkedIn, be sure to connect with me there. Also, take advantage of all the free resources that are available on the website. That's at elevationIsAmust.com. Got my online store there where you can purchase books, ebooks, got quick book downloads, all about mindset, personal development, ultimately to help you level up your life and align yourself with your vision, your purpose, and your goals. Also on the website is all of my speaking and coaching information. So if you're interested in partnering with me in one of those ways, be sure to tap in. Again, that is elevationIsAmust.com. Mom says we are responsible for our mindset. Don't stay there if it doesn't serve you. Absolutely. With that being said, family, let's wrap this thing up. You got dreams to catch and success to create, so we each have to get busy being great. It's Monday. Remember, new opportunities, endless possibilities. You got to maintain that proper mindset to be effective. Now, today, again, reflect on this discussion. Release what isn't serving you. And as you're pressing towards your goals, understand it will not be easy, okay? But it's going to be worth it. So if you find yourself in a challenging season right now, like a difficult chapter that you're aiming to overcome, don't you give up. Instead, I encourage you to give your all. Your back may be up against the wall right now, and it's a struggle, and the struggle is real. But I'm here to tell you, family, whatever stands in front of you and whatever stands behind you has nothing compared to the power that's at work within you. But to activate that power, you got to stand up. Stand up with confidence. Lead with courage. Keep pressing with determination till you get the result that you envision. Stay purpose-driven. Don't let anything stop you from achieving the life that you want. Somebody may tell you no or you get rejected. You keep pushing until you find your yes. That's the mindset that we got to have this week, family. Keep pressing until you succeed. And if nobody else tells you that they love you today, remember, your brother from another mother, D1 Gibson, has nothing but love for each and every single one of you. If you found value in this conversation, it's not too late for you to share this out with the people that you personally care about. Facebook, tag somebody in the chat, or share this with your entire network. LinkedIn, you can share this out on the platform. Those watching this on X, retweet this And for those watching this on YouTube, real quick, hit the like button. It goes a long way in the algorithm. And number 2, share this link out with at least 2 people that you personally know. Friend, family member, coworker, neighbor, whoever the case may be, right? Share this out with somebody that you know that can benefit from this discussion. With all of that being said, family, let's wrap this thing up. It's Monday. Take advantage of this week's opportunities. Reflect on what you need to release. And most importantly, be effective. Live with some passion. Be productive. Be purposeful. And most importantly, 3 pounds to your chest. 1, 2, 3. Be powerful. We'll be back at it next week, Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be on track on time. But till then, have a phenomenal week, family. I'll see you all then. Peace.
I can see my shot is here, so now I'm gonna take it. Gotta get up, get out, time to stand up, get loud, time to rise up off the floor. And I'm stronger than ever now, can't hold me down no more. I'm waking up, 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 I'm waking up. So I'ma do it right now, yeah, I'ma do it right now. I ain't giving up.